Hello guys, welcome back to TFD with Cordy. Today we've got one of those crossover moments that you honestly couldn't script any better even if you tried. Caitlin Clark and Steph Curry, two of the most dangerous shooters we've ever seen, just collided in a way that had basketball fans everywhere talking. So let's set the scene. Sunday night at Chase Center, Steph Curry steps onto the floor against the Atlanta Hawks wearing light armory blue Kobe 6 PEs. Now, if that colorway looks familiar, it should, because it's a model closely tied to Caitlin Clark. She's made those Kobe's iconic, not just on the court, but in sneaker culture overall. And sure enough, while wearing shoes popularized by Clark, Steph goes out and casually breaks a Michael Jordan record. You really can't make this stuff up. Curry finished the night with 31 points, and that was enough to officially give him the most 30-point games by a guard after turning 30 years old. That pushes him past Michael Jordan. Let that sink in for a second. At 37 years old, in his 17th NBA season, Steph is still rewriting history. The Warriors did lose the game 124-111, but honestly, the final score almost felt irrelevant compared to what we were witnessing. What makes this moment even cooler is the parallel between Curry and Clark. Both are generational shooters. Both stretch defenses from distances that used to be considered bad shots. And both openly support each other's leagues, constantly showing respect for the talent across men's and women's basketball. Clark's influence has even crossed fully into sneaker culture, turning Kobe colorways into statement pieces, and Steph wearing them during a historic night only amplified that. Even on a night when his three-point shot wasn't scorching, Curry stayed aggressive. He attacked the rim, lived in the mid-range, and still got to 31 points while adding 3 rebounds and 5 assists in just 33 minutes. This season alone, he's already recorded 13 games of 30 or more points in just 30 appearances, including 4 games of 40+. That's not normal aging. That's a prime that refuses to end. Sunday also came with another milestone. Steph and his father, Del Curry, moved past Kobe and Joe Bryant for second place on the NBA's all-time father-son scoring list. They now sit just behind LeBron and Bronny, which says a lot about longevity and legacy. Steph is currently averaging nearly 29 points per game, along with elite shooting numbers that rival his prime seasons. The Warriors, meanwhile, are still trying to find consistency, sitting at 21-19 and clinging to the 8th seed in the West. But one thing is clear. Whether it's records, influence, or moments like this, Steph Curry is still that guy. And Caitlin Clark? Her impact is showing up everywhere. The current update on Caitlin Clark's signature shoe release. Since Clark inked her groundbreaking 8-year, $28 million footwear and apparel deal with Nike in 2024, fans have been eagerly anticipating the rollout of her full signature line. In 2025, Nike released multiple Kobe models in Clark's player-exclusive colorways, unveiled her logo, launched the Christmas ad from anywhere, and rolled out her signature apparel. However, her signature shoe is still missing, but the wait for that moment is nearing its end. Now, let's move to another story that's trending around Caitlin Clark, because Sunday night was a big night for Caitlin in more ways than one. This one is quieter, but it says a lot about who she is and how she views greatness. Caitlin Clark recently made it clear that she's always known her fellow Iowa Hawkeye, Luka Garza, was special. And honestly, that shouldn't surprise anyone who understands Iowa basketball history. Clark arrived at Iowa back in 2020 and went on to build one of the greatest college careers we've ever seen. Over 139 games, she averaged 28.4 points, 7.1 rebounds, 8.2 assists, and 1.5 steals, eventually becoming the all-time leading scorer in NCAA Division I basketball history, men's or women's. That resume speaks for itself. But before Caitlin took over the national spotlight, Iowa already had a superstar. Luka Garza. In 2021, Garza won National Collegiate Player of the Year and was a two-time Big Ten Player of the Year. He was dominant, skilled, and relentless. The Detroit Pistons drafted him in the second round of the 2021 NBA draft, and while his NBA journey started quietly, things are changing fast. Now with the Boston Celtics, Garza is having his best season of his NBA career during the 2025-26 campaign. He's averaging a career-high 7.5 points and 4.3 rebounds, but what's really turning heads is his shooting. Garza is knocking down an incredible 51.2% from three-point range, evolving into a true stretch big. Now, Celtics reporter Mark D'Amico recently called Garza the stretch big no one knew existed before this season. Caitlin Clark saw that post and responded with just 2 words: "I knew." That short reply says it everything. Caitlin has always believed in Garza. When he signed his 2-year, $5.5 million deal with Boston this past offseason, she publicly supported him then too. It's another example of Caitlin backing real hoopers and showing that Iowa greatness sticks together. Now, I've already talked about how once the floodgates open, WNBA free agency is going to turn into a full-blown frenzy. But if we're being honest, the most talked about free agent in the entire league right now is Sophie Cunningham, and there are a few very specific reasons why. First, you've got the expansion draft hanging over everything. That's where all the speculation starts. People are trying to figure out who the Fever will protect and who they won't. When you look at Indiana's roster, some names are obvious. Caitlin Clark is locked in. Aaliyah Boston is locked in. You've got young players like Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, and others whose situations are pretty straightforward, whether they're under contract or can be cored. And that's where Sophie enters the conversation. If the Fever are only able to protect 5 players, Sophie could theoretically end up being the odd one out. Not because she isn't valuable, but because the Fever might gamble on the idea that an expansion team won't max her out under the old salary framework. The thinking would be, let her hit free agency, let her choose where she wants to go, and maybe she circles right back to Indiana anyway. Now, you could also argue the smarter move is to protect her no matter what, just to eliminate the risk entirely. And that's part of what makes this such an interesting debate. The other factor here is Sophie's rise in profile this season. She's become a much bigger star, and that's directly tied to playing in Indiana and playing next to Caitlin Clark. The visibility has been massive. Earlier on, Sophie kind of flirted with the idea of other destinations. Tiny hints in exit interviews, comments on her podcast, things like that. But lately, that tone has completely changed. She stopped playing coy and has made her intentions pretty clear. It's no longer a secret where Sophie Cunningham wants to be. Even at the Sophie Cunningham Classic, her girls' basketball tournament in Missouri, she made it clear in an interview with ABC 17 that Indiana is where her heart is. The message is clear. Sophie wants to stay with the Fever.
Ooh, I think the obvious one would be what happened this year. But I think my favorite W moment is actually getting traded to the Indiana Fever. Just to be closer to home, being back in the Midwest culture has been absolutely amazing. The girls were awesome, and so I think overall, just having a new start was huge. And so I'm just grateful that I'm or I guess I was. I don't know if I will be a Fever, but just getting traded was pretty cool.
Go-to spot when you're home here in Columbia?
Oh, probably Murray's. Yep.
Most famous contact in your phone right now?
Shoot. I'd say Caitlin. Yeah.
Spotify Rap top artist?
Honestly, don't know. I'd probably say maybe Drake. Yeah, I'm old, so I still listen to Drake.
Basketball idol growing up?
Weirdly, it was actually my sister. Yeah.
And then what's your favorite rock break moment?
Definitely winning 4 in a row. I think that was awesome. I think the first one was really special because I got to be with my sister. Our whole family and community were out just because it's rare. But to get that second one and that third one, fourth one, that's kind of rare in itself. And so I'd say getting 4 state titles. everywhere, specifically my mom. Everyone knows Paula. But it's just been so cool. I'm just blessed to have a family that's involved and that wants to give back just as much as I do.
Well, I mean, when I talked to you last week, you had a tremendous year. You said, I'm still me. Yep. How fun was the last year, though, when you look at who you got to play with and be back in the Midwest?
Who did I get to play with? No, I'm kidding. It's been just so much fun. Just being back, in the Midwest. It's just, I'm back to my roots. I'm back to being around the people that I grew up around and feeling most alive. And I am dealing with an injury, but I mean, people get, hey, you're not limping. I'm like, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So rehab's going well, but the Indiana Fever was just such a blessing. It's more my speed, more my style of play, and the girls in the locker room. Any level, it's hard to find a group that really loves each other, and especially at the pros, we really did. And so it just made a really fun culture up in Indiana.
What was so special about that group of girls, Caitlin and Lexi and you? What was so special about that group?
I don't know. I just think that we all had a vision of what this team could be. Yeah. We kept the main thing, and that's winning basketball games. And I got to shout out Kelsey Mitchell, too. She really held it down for us when all of us got injured and whatnot. She was just one of the best teammates I've ever had. And so it was cool that when we all kind of started going down, our team just got closer and closer. But hopefully this next year, we don't know if the CBA, but hopefully we can keep our core together and go get a championship together.
Well, we're looking forward to watching it. Sophie, as always, I appreciate you making the time. For the rest of you guys, that's really good.
So there you go. The intention is very clear. Sophie Cunningham isn't being subtle about where she wants to be, and she's also doing it the right way. One thing that stood out is her going out of her way to mention Kelsey Mitchell. That matters. Kelsey is such an integral part of this team, and it's obvious the Fever want to make sure she gets the proper attention and credit she deserves. Sophie highlighting that shows real teammate energy. She's been doing good work on and off the court, but at the same time, she's making it very clear that she plans to stay in Indiana and that the relationships matter to her. You can see it in how connected she is with everyone. She was basically the caddy alongside Lexi Hull, always in the mix, always supportive. And then you've got her dynamic with Caitlin Clark, joking around on social media and keeping things light. There was even that funny moment where Caitlin joked about Sophie calling her a fresh of breath of air instead of a breath of fresh air in an interview. It turned into a whole thing online, but honestly, some people would argue Sophie really has been a fresh breath of air for the Indiana Fever. She fits the culture. She fits the locker room. And I genuinely believe she'll continue to live and breathe with this team moving forward. That's my take. Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.